The veteran won a Super Bowl with Kansas City and said eventually he'd like to get into coaching. The Panthers have released linebacker Josie Jewell. The veteran continues to experience concussion symptoms. A team spokesman said the 30-year-old wanted to prioritize his health and recovery and be considerate of teammates. Cowboys All-Pro edge rusher Micah Parsons says he's discouraged that a long-term deal hasn't been reached with the organization. He's not holding out and is on the practice field. The Raiders have signed three-time Pro Bowl safety Jamal Adams. He reunites with head coach Pete Carroll, who he played under for 4 seasons as a member of the Seattle Seahawks. Commanders receiver Terry McLaurin is holding out. He's got 1 year left on a 3-year, $68 million extension that he signed in 2022. Save big when you bundle auto and home, renters, or condo with Progressive. That's the SportsGrid Sports Flash. I'm Chuck Sanders.
Macy's has summer deals so big, it's like Black Friday in July. Come in for unbeatable summer savings, like dazzling fine jewelry, now 40 to 75% off, and airy linen blazers from Tommy Hilfiger and more for over half off. Plus, get 3-piece floral print comforter sets for just $21.99. These deals are too big to wait for November, so hurry in. Black Friday in July and Sunday at Macy's. Savings off already reduced prices. Exclusions apply.
Ugh. Kitchen ants, runaway roaches, a spider. Relax. Just use Zevo. Zevo insect killer sprays use a powerful blend of mint and rosemary to eliminate those pests and up to 20 other bug types. Plus, Zevo is safe for use around people and pets when used as directed. Just spray the bugs and wipe them away. Zevo. People friendly, bug deadly.
It's a sweet deal.
All you gotta do is just listen and start winning.
We can't make it any simpler.
Yeah, we'd be lying if we told you we hadn't considered asking for a cut.
Get the winning edge.
This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
The only place in football where the offense is always on the field is on Moneyline. With the two best hosts in radio, Donnie Rightside.
If anybody wasn't watching, let's not know what you were doing.
And Kevin Walsh.
Act like you've been there before.
On the SportsGrid Radio Network, Sirius XM Channel 159.
The best every day now is officially underway. It is Moneyline right here on the SportsGrid Network. And Major League Baseball is our singular focus today. We have a full slate, which includes a lot of afternoon baseball action. A decent day yesterday. Didn't have anything up on the site, so we hope to find something exactly that we can play. Just going over some of these games earlier today on the early line. If you're listening in, there are some pretty good spots to take a look at, some good RBI opportunities. So welcome in. I see Kristen Hess out here in the chat box with Restream, SportsGrid On Demand on our YouTube channel. 3 words, type in SportsGrid On Demand on YouTube. You'll get to that live link right away. If you did download our app, congratulations to you. The best app in the business is the SportsGrid app. Download it where apps are available. If you're listening on Sirius XM, channel 159, awesome stuff, sportsgridradio.com. And away we go as I hit the retweet button out here in these streets here to push the numbers out to the people, and we can have some fun. But where do we start today? You know where we start? Yes, I know it's Major League Baseball. We'll get to as many games as we can on the card here. Told you already like some scenarios that we have locked in. But every single team in the NFL will be reporting to training camp today. My Philadelphia Eagles, the full 90-man roster, is in camp here, and away we go on the NFL season. As we sit here, July 23rd, tomorrow, when you wake up, you're 1 week away from watching preseason football on your TV, and then off into the month of August, everybody plays their preseason games. Then we line up the first week of September for the Philadelphia Eagles taking on the Dallas Cowboys to open the season. Eagles got their rings this past week. The Super Bowl trophy is going to make it to the field. The banner dropped down, and then away we go on the NFL season, and a lot of fun is going to be there. Some hot topics that we talked about today on the early line consisted of Micah Parsons not happy that he doesn't have a new deal, and rightfully so. He's going to make $20 million this year regardless if he signs a contract, but trust me, he is going to sign a new contract. It's going to be mind-boggling how high that extension is going to be, but deservedly so. If you wait a long time for really good football players to sign a contract, it does, no doubt about it, cost the team more money in the short term here. You should have just got it signed, Jerry, 2 years ago. Micah Parsons, we'll see what happens. Terry McLaurin hasn't showed up to Washington Commanders camp today. He is in town, as somebody took a picture as a fan with him coming out of yoga class here, just staying limber and ready to go for the NFL season. That'll be interesting to see if that does get worked out and where we actually go with that. James Cook is practicing with the Buffalo Bills. He's their talented running back. He wants a new contract, hasn't come to an agreement just yet. They're probably close, which is why he's working out. Same thing can be said for Kyron Williams of the Los Angeles Rams. He is in camp, but he wants a new contract, and probably they're close, which means he's practicing in camp. It could be a day-to-day thing. Cooler heads will prevail. Meet me in the middle, sign a contract, and have a great season as we go here. Darren Filippi checking in here on the chat box on SportsGrid on demand. Tyrann Mathieu, how about that? The Honey Badger. Saints safety retires the day before he's expected to report to training camp. Sometimes you just lose the love, man. And when it's gone, it goes quickly and it's fleeting there. So now they're looking for a safety and not high expectations. Maybe Tyrann Mathieu looked at the New Orleans Saints and goes, man, come on now. You want me to play on this team where we're going to probably win 5 games this year in this bad division? And I'm going to break my brain out here? Yeah, I'm giving it up here. I'm hanging it up in the NFL. We'll see also if that's one of those where this team just isn't really good enough and he comes back a little bit later in the season. Not necessarily saying towards the Saints, but maybe goes to another franchise. If the Saints just relinquish his rights at that point, maybe a minor trade like, 6th-round draft pick, 7th-round draft pick can convey to a, 5th or 6th round pick if he does play well for them. Yesterday, also, people, looking at Major League Baseball, which we're going to set the table for. And in segment number 2, we're going to start handicapping these afternoon baseball games right off the bat. Yesterday, the Philadelphia Phillies got a wonderful pitching performance out of Mr. Christopher Sanchez, who's now 9-2 on the season with a 2.40 ERA after a masterful game. A complete game shutout, 12 strikeouts, 4 hits given up, and only 1 run scored, which was a solo home run. He was absolutely fantastic. The Yankees with a much-needed victory yesterday over the Toronto Blue Jays, 5-4, where they were hitting missile after missile into the seats. And I got to tell you today, this is a game that's going to take place not in the afternoon, it's tonight. There's a couple RBI props in this game that you might want to pay attention to, which we'll go over. Just like the Mets here, coming back. Meet the Mets, beat the Mets. You ain't beating the Mets right now. Mets 3-2 victory over the Angels to stay within a half game of the Philadelphia Phillies. The most embarrassing performance yesterday for me was those San Francisco Giants beating down the Atlanta Braves 9-0. What an effort out of those Braves yesterday, huh? Landon Raup out there throwing shutouts, 10 hits by the Giants as they snapped their long losing streak right over the Atlanta Braves' head. Now today, I do think there is going to be a reciprocation here of one team getting hammered, and that ain't going to be the Atlanta Braves today. Strider's on the mound going up against Verlander. Could we see a 9-0 the opposite way today? We'll certainly find out. We'll handicap that. Rich Hill, who wasn't bad yesterday, a 45-year-old pitcher for the Royals. They still got clubbed yesterday 6-0 as the Chicago Cubs looking to track down now the Milwaukee Brewers. And speaking of the Milwaukee Brewers, yesterday, they lost a game 1-0 to the Seattle Mariners. Logan Gilbert was tremendous on the mound. Jacob Mizorowski only went 3 2/3 innings pitch. For what reason? Who knows what they're going to tell you. But throwing mid-60s here, he should have went longer. But again, if you're not going to score a run, you're not going to win any baseball game that you certainly play. And that one run came by Cal Raleigh's solo blast in the 6th inning gives the Mariners the 1-0 win. A game where I was up late last night just watching because I couldn't sleep. Twins down the Dodgers 10-7 yesterday. A lot of runs, a lot of errors, 17 total hits. Shohei Ohtani hits for the 4th straight game a home run. And talking to Ben Stevens today on the early line when we were lining up this game for tonight. Or wait, this game, I think it might be an afternoon game. Glasnow's on the mound. We'll hit that in just a few moments. But it was like Shohei Ohtani is like a plus 130, plus 140 price to hit a home run. That's ridiculous. That's highway robbery. Like Ohtani should be able to stay hot against Chris Paddock today, yes. But a price point basically of a base hit now has to be a home run for you to cash a ticket in this one. It's outrageous, man. By the way, having said that, I still think Ohtani probably hits a home run today. Aaron Schoen's out here in the chat box coming in saying hello on SportsGrid On Demand. But just recapping some of that Major League Baseball that we watched yesterday. Lower scoring battle. The Houston Astros now looking to sweep the Arizona Diamondbacks after Framber Valdez, another gem yesterday, picks up the victory. His 11th on the season, lowers his ERA to a 2.67. The Colorado Rockies, who I told you yesterday at an expensive price on a 4.5 team total, they hit that number by scoring 8 runs against the St. Louis Cardinals because Eric Fetty is not a good pitcher. We knew that coming in. And how about this? What year is it, people? The Texas Rangers, Jacob deGrom. Not the New York Metropolitans, Jacob deGrom. The Rangers' DeGrom improves to 10-2 on the season. 6 innings pitched, 1 earned run given up, and that 1 earned run was a solo home run. His ERA, we're talking about DeGrom, a 2.28 on the season. This looks like he's right back in rhythm when he was taking along the New York Mets here, Cy Youngs, and making runs to the World Series. My goodness. By the way, JT Ginn wasn't that bad yesterday. Starting pitcher for the Athletics. 5 innings pitched, 1 earned run. They just blew up that bullpen of Newcomb, Sterner, and Harris. But when we're looking at the team itself, 6 runs scored by the Rangers. You like that. Only 2 of 4 with runners in scoring position. Now, you like the fact they had a 50% conversion rate, no doubt about it. But look at Corey Seager, people. Look at Corey Seager, who never was on my card for the first 3 months of the season. 2 for 4 yesterday. 3 RBI, 1 jack, 272 average. Is this team going to start to wake up? Is this talent going to start to overpower the Texas Rangers that we talked about before the All-Star break and pre-trade deadline? A game or 2 under 500? Well, now look at them. 52-50 on the season. The Rangers are above 500, and the Athletics just continue to flounder. It's crazy, man. It's crazy how it's playing out in Major League Baseball. But there is a huge card today. The majority in the afternoon. Let's not waste any more time. Let's get started on these 12 o'clock games, followed by the 1 o'clock games, the 2 o'clocks, the 3 o'clocks. You get the picture. It's your boy DRS. I'll be right back on a solo mission right here at Moneyline.
Of summer have returned and taken the field for the great American pastime. You should monetize that. Get the winning edge. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
With your news flash, I'm Trey Westerberg. This update brought to you by Progressive. Heavy metal legend Ozzy Osbourne has passed away. He was 76 years old. The announcement was made Tuesday, just weeks after his farewell show. A family statement from Birmingham, England said, quote, "It is with more sadness than mere words can convey that we have to report that our beloved Ozzy Osbourne has passed away. He was with family and surrounded by love. In 2020, he revealed he had Parkinson's disease after suffering a fall." President Donald Trump announced a trade framework with Japan on Tuesday, placing a 15% tax on goods imported from that nation. The president said Japan would invest, quote, "at my direction, $550 billion into the U.S. and would open its economy to American autos and rice." The 15% tax on imported Japanese goods is a meaningful drop from the 25% rate that Trump said would be levied starting August 1st. I'm Trey Westerberg with your news flash.
Lowe's knows big savings make a big difference, especially when you're shopping for appliances. Hurry in to get up to 30% off select major appliances. Plus, My Lowe's Rewards members get free delivery, free haul away, free installation and parts on purchases of $2,500 or more. Lowe's, we help, you save. Valid through 7/30. Selection varies by location. While supplies last. Price, delivery time, and vehicle availability may vary based on order size and location. Exclusions apply. See Lowe's.com/delivery for more details.
Here's Comedians and Sketchers Getting Comfortable, presented by Hands-Free Skechers Slip-Ins.
Hey, I'm Bobby Slayton, and I'm here with my pal, comedian, and Skechers ambassador, Mr. Howie Mandel.
Why did it take so long to invent something as amazing as Slip-Ins? I know it seems simple, but it took Skechers to invent a better pair of shoes.
Yep, with Skechers Slip-Ins, you just step it and go. You don't have to touch your shoes. And by the way, Slip-Ins are for the whole family, men, women, and kids. In all your favorite Skechers styles, find Skechers Slip-Ins at a Skechers store, Skechers.com, or wherever stylish footwear is sold.
Luck is a word losers use. If you think winning is only a matter of chance, you must be new here. We give you sports gaming strategies and information that changes outcomes others flip a coin over. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
Let's get after it, people. Major League Baseball. By the way, we have 4 games in the 12 o'clock hours. You know, we do the show Moneyline in the 11 o'clock hour Eastern. We got some business to get to out here. Let's see what we have here. Let's get after it. So first, what we'll do is, before we take a look at the games individually, let's set the card today up and say, which pitchers are we looking at? Which guys do we want to fade at this point? Because I'm going to start to talk about a little bit different metrics that I've been using throughout the summer. The hard hit rate and also the barrel rates, where the pitchers and the hitters sort of have that nice combination. I had a couple wins a few nights ago on the team total lines. Basically was looking at numbers yesterday. Wasn't in love with a lot of stuff, but did put out some plays there. Of course, you always see the clips that come through on the SportsGrid network. The radar was on yesterday, and I think it should continue to stay on today. But the pitchers that are really good over the past 60 days, Sean Manaea of the New York Mets. And I want to say really good here. You got to take that with a grain of salt because I'm actually going to lower this here. Let's go to playing time. Let's go at least 10 innings pitched. So we'll take Manaea off the list. So over the past 60 days, minimum of 10 innings pitched. Do you know Quinn Priester is the best pitcher on the card with an xFIP number of 2.73? And I just told you, Manaea was number one Manaea, however you want to pronounce it, 7.1 innings pitched. Quinn Priester has 56 innings pitched over the past 2 months with an ERA of 2.41 and a 2.73 ERA. Used to be a guy that I faded a lot. Not anymore at this point. Brandon Walter, 41 2/3 innings pitched. He's got a high ERA at 4.10, but an ultra-low xFIP number of 2.86. Brock Burke, Los Angeles, 22 innings pitched here over the past 60 days, a 1.23 ERA and a 2.97 ERA. So names you're not used to seeing at the top of that leaderboard, 1, 2, 3, are up there because analytics really likes them. Tyler Glasnow checking in here over his past 60 days, which again only includes 11 innings pitched, but he's been very good since he's got back. Dylan Cease, who had a rough patch over the past couple starts, was electric in his last start. He's chiming in here through 54 2/3 innings pitched with a really high ERA of 4.77, but an xFIP number that is very manageable here at 3.16. Jesus Luzardo, very good xFIP number, 3.24 over the past 60 days, but his ERA is off the charts bad at over 7. Could we get runs tonight? Hint, hint, out of the Boston Red Sox. So the normal suspects will be all the way through, but the pitchers, which looks like they have the best shot of being fadeable today. If we take a look at xFIP numbers, around that 4.5 range is really that cutoff. Chris Paddock of the Minnesota Twins, he comes in through his 53 innings pitched over the past 60 days at a 4.39 number. Sandy Alcantara, Miami Marlins pitcher, 4.41 xFIP number and an ERA of 6.51, which is ridiculous. Justin Verlander, who I do think gets hit around today, pitching for the San Francisco Giants going up against the Atlanta Braves. He's got a 6 ERA and a 4.52 xFIP number. Colin Ray of the Chicago Cubs, a guy that I faded a lot this season. 4.88 ERA, 4.74 xFIP number. Jonathan Canada of the Chicago White Sox, 29 innings pitched. He's close to a 5 ERA and a 5 xFIP number. J.P. Sears, one of our good friends here on the card today. 47 2/3 innings pitched over the past 60 days. He's got a 6.42 ERA and a 5.05 xFIP number. Bailey Falter on the card today for the Pittsburgh Pirates. He'll be pitching early in the day at 12:35, taking on Detroit. Is this a bounce back spot? 47 1/3 innings pitched for Bailey Falter over the past 60 days. A 4.56 ERA and a 5.28 xFIP number. The worst pitcher on the card barely makes it because he only has 10 innings pitched. Jake Elder, or Eder, E-D-E-R. Never even heard his name pronounced. A 2.70 ERA, but a 5.88 xFIP number. You take that with a grain of salt. But the usual suspects are on the bottom of this list here, right? The Rays, the Cannons, Sears, Falter, Alcantara, Verlander, Paddock, all down there low with options that we might be able to pursue. Okay, let's get to the mix now, and let's start to set these games up. Let me just set the rotation up, hit the refresh button because 1, 2, 3, all the 12 o'clock games I do have starting lineups for. First 1 o'clock game I have a starting lineup for. Half a starting lineup for the 2:20 game. So good. We'll have a pretty clean 12 o'clock hour slate here that we can take a look at anything. Chris Warren's in the chat box. Kristen Hess is out here in the chat box. What's up? Saying hello on a Wednesday, handicapping some Major League Baseball. Let's get started on game number 1, which is 12:05 p.m. That's Cincinnati and Washington. Lodolo, the lefties on the mound against the righty, Michael Soroka. 8.5 as a total listed across the board. The side opened up overnight around a -140 price. Still sits in that range. You're getting as low as -127, mid-range -135, so not a ton of movement here between Lodolo and Soroka. If we take a look at Lodolo on the card, he checks in today right around midway. 3.44 ERA over the past 60 days, 3.78 xFIP number. Not really into fading that sort of scenario. Michael Soroka, on the other hand, he's a little bit farther down. His last 60 days, there's an ERA of 4.78 and an xFIP number of 4.25. So if we're looking at these starting lineups, I'm going to leave Lodolo alone and not fade him. And by the way, Washington is terrible, at least over the past 30 days, hitting against left-handed pitchers. That's certainly not a match made in heaven. That's a match made with a nightmare. Let's take a look at Michael Soroka's angle. Keep in mind, too, 86 degrees in Washington today, a wind blowing out to left field. Right-handed pitchers do give the Reds a little bit of trouble, particularly over the past 30 days. If we look at the lineup, right? Ellie De La Cruz, 399 weighted on base percentage. Love that. Jake Fraley, 250 ISO, Weighted on base percentage, 572. Love that. That's only through 15 at-bats against right-handed pitching. Noelvi Marte, I believe. I haven't seen his name in the lineup in a long time going over him. Noelvi, he's got good numbers. An ISO of 294 and a weighted on base percentage of 394. Now, let's go check some other things out. Soroka's last 30 days have been very good. ISO power numbers and weighted on base percentages combined. 042 ISO, weighted on base percentage 289. First part of the season struggled with lefties. Last 30 days hasn't struggled with lefties. Hard hit rate, though, 54% over his past 30 days. On the season, 53%. That means half of the contact being made is hard contact. That'll typically get you in trouble. Barrel rate, very good against lefties. Barrel rate over the past 30 against righties, really struggling. So I'm trying to make, like, I don't know if this should be on the card or not, which means we're probably going to leave that off. But when you look at, Marte in that lineup through 36 plate appearances against right-handed pitching, he's cracked it. And if we're telling you that right-handers have made some pretty good barrel contact on Soroka, but again, I still want to see that weighted on base percentage and also ISO power numbers be slightly different. So game number 1 this afternoon, Washington and Cincinnati, that's going to be a pass. Let's move down south, which I didn't love this game handicapping earlier. The San Diego Padres and the Miami Marlins. That's on deck next. We'll get through every game, don't you worry, right here on Moneyline.
Stamping out the boredom in baseball year after year. We bring you all the angles, insights, and information you need. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network. The SportsGrid Radio Network presents This Date in Sports History.
1866, the Cincinnati Baseball Club is formed as the Red Stockings. The Reds franchise is best known for the years of dominance in 1975 and 1976, known as the Big Red Machine. Cincinnati beat the Red Sox and Yankees in back-to-back championships during those 2 seasons.
That's it. The Cincinnati Reds win the World Series in 4 straight. It was a sweep.
For SportsGrid Radio, I'm Mike DeMurgis.
The Technology Minute with George Capalbo.
Until now, the only way to deal with pesky mosquitoes, the old-fashioned way. Now, if you dare, buy into a new Hong Kong-based Indiegogo project called Photon Matrix. A paperback-sized AI device uses LiDAR to invisibly scan for mosquitoes up to 20 feet away. And then high-powered lasers can vaporize up to 30 mosquitoes per second. One unfortunate problem, onboard sensors detecting humans in the kill zone means it won't fire. Otherwise, follow me at G Capalbo on X and stay tuned to the Technology Minute for more cool stuff like this.
Carver and Lisi.
Can this Simpson get a hit, Joe?
That guy's a hack. He's a slap hitter. The guy's a, he sucks.
Can he slap one to left field here and drive it running?
That guy is he's like Willie Mays Hayes when he first started and he hit the ball by accident. That guy sucks. Where you going, meet? About 90 feet, remember?
It's Carver and Lisi with Mike Carver and Joe Lisi. Weekdays, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 Pacific on the SportsGrid Radio Network. Have you noticed how hard it is these days to find something to believe?
Nonsense is everywhere.
But at SportsGrid,
we put our mouth where your money is. Because if we're ever wrong,
you wouldn't win.
Get it?
This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
Bing, bong, boom, people. It's a Wednesday. It's hump day. It's my job to get you over the hump heading towards the weekend, which is a football weekend because it's back in our lives. Just send out a tweet here at RightSideVP on Twitter/X. That's where you can find me. So good to have the NFL back. My timeline is exploding with beat writers at practices across the league. Love it. It's true, man. It really is. Like when I use X Pro, which is maybe the single greatest invention in the history of social media for me, and it's helped me so much in handicapping and just getting the information just scrolling in front of my face without me actually touching a button here and being able to set up different columns. Like my football columns and information columns are fantastic today. Like just watching across the league, guys getting their workouts in, and away we go into an NFL season. It's absolutely spectacular. It's fantastic. My guy IOD out here in the chat box having some fun here, talking some baseball with Chris Warren. Everybody bringing something to the table. You want to find out how to get involved? SportsGrid On Demand on our YouTube channel, people. 7.23K subscribers. So I guess that's what, 7,230 subscribers, I want to say, at this point there, building that each and up every day, having some fun, talking some baseball, which we're going to get back to now. But my goodness, I love to see the NFL back in my life. Now, we're just talking about game number 2. San Diego, Miami, it's a 12-10 start. Dylan Cease, Sandy Alcantara today. Favorite here, heavy for Dylan Cease and the Padres. Now, theoretically, we've been really enjoying the run that the Miami Marlins have been on, hitting very well, doing some good things. Dylan Cease has been a very odd pitcher, to say the least, for this season. Previous 3 starts before his last one were really bad, but he was the phenomenal Dylan Cease we expected in his last start. 5 innings pitched, 10 Ks, no earned runs. His ERA on the last 6 is 4.77. He has the ability to go really low. His xFIP number, even with all those bad starts, still a 3.16. I look at this total that you open up at 8. There still is 1-8 out there at Bet365. I actually like the under today, because there is a chance that Cease can get blown up and Alcantara can get blown up, but it's the ultimate pitcher's ballpark. Cease coming off a good start going up against the Marlins. I think he can hold those bats down. And Alcantara almost like one of those auditions for next week, which might be his last start as a Miami Marlin. I do like the under. I'm not saying I'm betting it here, but that's the way I lean, which I don't like the pitching matchups and the batters side by side per se. And Chris Warren in the chat box, man, talking about Kyle Stowers, he's been electric lights out. It's like Shohei Ohtani, 4 straight games with a home run. Like, hey, his price is ridiculous. And you just say, so what? I'm taking it because he's probably hitting another home run. Stowers has been nothing short of spectacular. All right, let's get to the meat and potatoes today of the 12 o'clock card coming up in these next 2 games. San Francisco and Atlanta. Verlander is cooked, guys. He's done. His last 60 days, he's only thrown 27 1/3 innings pitched. His ERA is over 6, an xFIP number of 4.52. Now, you might look at this Atlanta lineup and say, Donnie, it stinks. And technically, I agree with you here. Profar against right-handed pitching since he's come back has been really bad. Michael Harris, bad. Nacho Alvarez, he's been bad. Eli White, bad. Nick Allen, bad. But in the middle of that lineup, Matt Olson, Drake Baldwin, Sean Murphy, and Ozzie Albies should be able to do damage. It's not a great-looking lineup, and I agree. But sometimes you're just fading bad pitchers. Verlander's not a strikeout pitcher anymore. He's cooked. He's done at that point. You take a look at his numbers, right? Weighted on base percentage against his last 108 batters, a 380 weighted on base percentage. Get out of town. His ISO is a little bit low at 146, but he makes up for that by letting left-handed batters get the best of him here. That's Olson. That's Baldwin. That's Albies right in the middle of that lineup. So if we do slide it down and take a look at the hard contact rate, it is high. It's higher to lefties over the past 30 days than it is righties, which you like to see. His barrel rate, though, is low. But if I'm looking at this game optimistically right now, right, I just told you, Verlander's probably going to get had today. I got Olson and I got Drake Baldwin right in the middle of that lineup. You're telling me we can't get at least one RBI from either one of those guys today? Let me just slide over to Bet365. I want to take a look to see what that price point is for this 12-15 start. Let's go player props and RBIs, not home runs, which, again, probably going to end up hitting home runs when I take the RBI. You know how that always works out. RBI today, to record 1 for Drake Baldwin, that's plus 210. You can't pass that up. Matt Olson, plus 170. They're phenomenal numbers. Like, yes, they got shut out yesterday. But you're talking about Matt Olson's last 30 days against right-handed pitching at 206 ISO and a weighted on-base percentage of 393. Drake Baldwin, who I really like, 48 at-bats, a 302 ISO and a 439 weighted on-base percentage. You got to be kidding me. So right there, Olson and Baldwin, plus 170, plus 210, should be on your card today for some RBI action. What's the team total here? Let me go over to FanDuel just to check out real quick. So a Major League Baseball, game number 3 on the card. The total is only 8. So we're expecting Verlander just to hot butter knife this team? Now, granted, I know Landon Raup got the best of them yesterday, but stop the madness here. Where is the team total here? Braves, total home runs. Where's the team total? We got to slide all the way down. Braves total runs 4.5 plus 110. Buy it down to 3.5. They get 4 runs today. Cha-ching! Braves!
If you ever hear a Taylor Swift song here, something has gone
horribly wrong.
We only give you sports gaming strategies and information you need. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
Progressive presents the SportsGrid Sports Flash. I'm Chuck Sanders. NFL training camps are kicking into high gear this week. The Panthers have released linebacker Josie Jewell. The veteran continues to experience concussion symptoms. A team spokesman said the 30-year-old wanted to prioritize his health and recovery and be considerate of teammates. Cowboys All-Pro edge rusher Micah Parsons says he's discouraged that a long-term deal hasn't been reached with the organization. He's not holding out and is on the practice field. The Raiders have signed three-time Pro Bowl safety Jamal Adams. He reunites with head coach Pete Carroll, who he played under for 4 seasons as a member of the Seattle Seahawks. Commanders receiver Terry McLaurin is holding out. He's got 1 year left on a 3-year, $68 million extension that he signed in 2022. Saints defensive back Tyrann Mathieu is retiring after 12 seasons. The veteran won a Super Bowl with Kansas City and said eventually he'd like to get into coaching. Save big when you bundle auto and home, renters, or condo with Progressive. That's the SportsGrid Sports Flash. I'm Chuck Sanders.
Lowe's knows big savings make a big difference, especially when you're shopping for appliances. Hurry in to get up to 30% off select major appliances. Plus, My Lowe's Rewards members get free delivery, free haul away, free installation and parts on purchases of $2,500 or more. Lowe's, we help, you save. Valid through 7/30. Selection varies by location. While supplies last. Price, delivery time, and vehicle availability may vary based on order size and location. Exclusions apply. See Lowe's.com/delivery for more details.
Progressive's Auto Quote Explorer lets you easily compare direct rates from different insurance companies, so you can be confident you're getting the right one, even if it's not with Progressive. Way more confident than you were when you bought that TV in a parking lot. It just happened to not come in a box or include a remote. And when you finally managed to turn it on, all it displayed was the menu of Grumpy's Tacos. So use Progressive's Auto Quote Explorer and be confident you're getting insurance that's right for you. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Not available in all states or situations. Prices vary based on how you buy.
Let's keep it real.
Baseball can be boring.
That's where SportsGrid comes in.
Nothing livens up those 9 innings like sports gaming. You might experience something you've never felt in a baseball game, a quickened pulse. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
Yeah, got to tell you, I'm feeling this Braves game here. Even though, again, the Braves stink, and I've said that in the chat box here, 3.5 minus 170 as a team total is expensive. They should get 4 runs today. They got shut out. Yeah, Donnie got shut out yesterday. You can't go with that. You got to fade the pitchers that are bad. Let me just bring up Verlander just for a case point. Read you how bad his statistics have been. Let me just bring up Justin's game log itself that we can review. His last start was the 18th. 2 2/3 innings pitched, 4 earned runs. The start before that, he actually went 6 innings pitched. So gave up 4 runs, 2 of those earned. Start before that, which is the 4th of July. 3 innings pitched, 6 earned runs given up. He's just not that lockdown guy anymore. He's going to get hit today. Always heat and humidity down there in Atlanta. I think Atlanta gets 4 runs today, buoyed by Olsen at a plus 170 price on an RBI and Drake Baldwin at a plus 210 price. It's the middle of the lineup, guys. Like, you're getting a plus 210 price on a guy that's hitting right in the middle, smack dab as the de facto cleanup guy at a plus 210 price. Yeah, come on now. Francisco checking in here on the chat box. Welcome to the show. Even if you are late out there, no matter. We take them all. We take all comers here all throughout the show. But that's how I'm feeling about that Atlanta Braves game. Let's continue to move on because I told you the meat and potatoes of this scheduling is right in the middle of the 12 o'clock hour. Detroit and Pittsburgh. Now, I didn't get a chance to handicap this, so we're going to do this right together on the air. Troy Melton is pitching, which, again, I don't give a damn about Troy Melton on the mound today. I don't care what he's about. I'm not looking at the Pittsburgh lineup. It's all about Detroit for me because Bailey Falter is on the mound today, and that usually means trouble. And I don't mean the trouble that's like, damn it, I don't think they could score any runs. This guy's really going to hold them off. He's a bad pitcher. His last 60 days, 47 1/3 innings pitched. An ERA, 4.56. An xFIP number, 5.28. Stop the madness. Stop the madness. He's going to get hit today. Now, the question is, what has gone wrong with our Detroit squad here? Because I just want to bring up and go to the team page here quickly for Detroit and go over the last couple games. Lost yesterday, 8-5. Lost the day before, 3-0. That's porous. Won against the Rangers, 2-1. Lost 4-1. Lost 2-0. Lost 8-4. 15-7. You get the point here. But coming out of the break, right? That Rangers series wasn't all that great at the plate. Terrible in that first game against Pittsburgh. Why? Because it's Paul Skeens on the mound. That's why. But 8-5 in that last game, they scored 5 runs. I'm looking for a much better performance. So let's shape this lineup up which again, the starting lineups are out. Gleyber Torres, Jahmai Jones, Wenzel Perez, Spencer Torkelson, Matt Vierling, Zach McKinstry, Dylan Dingler, Javi Baez, and Parker Meadows. In that lineup, only one guy, Javi Baez, strikes out a ton against left-handed pitching. The rest of the guys, they handle themselves. A lot of high walk rates, which means we're extending chances at bats. Bailey Falter's not a strikeout guy at all. So you have a lineup that doesn't strike out against a non-strikeout pitcher. Those are good things. Yes, they're playing in Pittsburgh, similar to Detroit. Not really a hitter's ballpark, more of a pitcher's ballpark. 84 degrees with a very light wind that's not going to have any impact on whether balls get hit out of the ballpark or get kept in the yard. Here's the stats that you want to start to focus on for Bailey Falter and why he's so bad. His last 70 at-bats that he's had, 70 batters that he's faced. His hard hit rate, guys, combined is 70%. 7 out of every 10 contacts is a hard contact rate. That's fantastic. His whiff percentage is only 17%. That's low. Barrel rate is high as you're going to see it. Is it looking like a great lineup right now for Detroit? Not necessarily. No Riley Green in the lineup, like nobody else that can, buoy things down for us. I get it. But it's the same thing we talked about with the Atlanta Braves just earlier. It looks like this is a team that just should be able to hit. Why? Because the pitcher absolutely stinks. If I had to pick one guy in that lineup, and if we go with Detroit here, it would be Torque. My guy, Spencer Torkelson. A 368 ISO and a 513 weighted on base percentage against left-handed pitching. And the one thing that we do know is Bailey Falter can't get out right-handed bats. There's only 2 left-handed bats in the lineup today. It's McKinstry and Meadows. Everybody else is going to be right side. Like Wenzel Perez. And so let's do the 2 up here. We'll go Torque and we'll go Perez. Both of those guys with RBI chances. Let me go over to Bet365 and let's take a look at some of these RBI opportunities that we have with these 2 guys going up against Falter. So we'll go player props. We'll scroll it down. And we will take a look at this RBI market. Where are you? All right. So we got Torkelson and, plus 110 price. I'll let you know everything about Spencer Torkelson today and why we like him certainly so much. Let's go down to Wenzel Perez. Wenzel Perez is a plus 160. If they're doing damage and scoring, let's just say 4 runs, these guys should factor in. And I always talk about like the RBI props. We would love to go 2-0 in every single game with RBI props. You just have to split them. Like that first game, Olsen and Baldwin, plus 170, 210. You got to be kidding me, man. That's fantastic. To get one, if not both of them, great. Same thing with Torkelson and Perez. Plus 110's on the lower end of the spectrum that you'll typically see, but plus 160 right there. De facto starting lineups of guys hitting in the middle of the order where the table should be set because Falter can't stop anybody. Doesn't strike him out, gives up hard contact and barrel contact. We should be hitting today, which leads me to my next setup here. Let's head back over to FanDuel. And I'm going to take a look at the team total today for the Detroit Tigers, if that makes sense. Let's go see. All right, scroll down. The Detroit Tigers total runs. It's 4.5 at minus 118. So if we list that, 4.5 at minus 118. So we got 3.5 with a lot of juice here on the Braves and 4.5 on Detroit. Again, I don't love this lineup. But I can't go against, have faith in the pitcher. Like, those pitchers should be able to shut down the line. They stink, man. They stink. Francisco says Torkelson RBI parlayed it with PCA RBI. Yeah, PCA is a beast, man. He really is. But if we got 2 good games here in that 12 o'clock hour, boy, that makes some sense. So now we're starting to live. You'll be able to watch some, afternoon action. 2 legitimate games here. Let's continue to go down the card, right? And take a look what Burke versus Minaya, like somebody getting some of these games that don't make any sense. That's a 110 start today. Burke the lefty, Minaya the lefty, minus 180 price on the Mets, 9 totals it listed. Burke doesn't have a lot of statistics over the past 30 days, and I guess he's probably going to be an opener. Let me go check over to Roto Grinders here just to see the starting lineups for some of these pitchers here. So go DFS, Major League Baseball starting lineup, afternoon game. And no, it just says Brock Burke. It doesn't say anything else that anything's been going to fill in for him at this point. He's got decent statistics, if you will. ISO and weighted on base percentage-wise. But outside of that, not lovely. Not lovely. Look at the Angels lineup today going up against Sean Minaya. Don't love it all that much. That's a pass for me, that game. There's not enough, steak on the, or should I say meat on the bone. If we get to that 2:20 game, Kansas City and Chicago, let me just do a quick refresh. Because over the past 40 minutes, we might have gotten some extra starters listed, and no, we don't. So we're still stuck here. Looks like Kansas City. I do have their starting lineup, but I don't have the starting lineup here for the Chicago Cubs. That's okay. We have a good estimate of who we think is going to be in the lineup. Seth Lugo on the mound today. And where did he pop into my chart? Lugo is 50 1/3 innings pitched over the past 60 days, a 2.86 ERA and a 4 xFIP number. Now, when you look over the past 30 days, lefties really get the best of them. And that's why I see out there in the chat box, Francisco Carrasco saying he parlayed Torkelson with PCA. Like, PCA's got good numbers, man. Bush lefty, Tucker lefty, P. Crow Armstrong lefty, Happ lefty, McGuire lefty. That's 5 out of the 9 we expect to be from the left-hand side, which is a good thing. Let me check some other statistics here. Hard contact rate against Lugo. He's very good against right-handed batters, to be honest. Against lefties, he gives up a lot of hard contact. That's never good. Barrel rate, sky high. So there you go. Look what it said. Hold on. Let me check what Seth Lugo did. Could we be buying in right now in this game? Are we buying in on this one? Let's see, my guy Seth. Let's go game by game. Because that barrel rate's high. That hard hit contact is high. I think we might have some opportunities here. And also, I'm going to backtrack on some of these guys as well, just to do a little bit of recon mission while we go to the commercial break here in just a few seconds. Lugo's last start against Miami, in Miami, one of the better pitchers' ballparks, 6 innings pitched, 5 earned runs, not good. Game before that, solid start. Actually, he's had a lot of solid starts before that. But his last start has been bad. But his hard contact rate is very high against a team that can really hit. What are the temperatures here today? 90 with a 10-mile-an-hour wind blowing out in Chicago. Oh, we got choices, people. We got choices. Coming up after the break, hopefully we have even more choices that will hit more Major League Baseball games right here on Moneyline.
This is sports gaming information you can use. Expert analysis on odds, insights, and strategies you can literally take to the bank. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
Progressive presents the SportsGrid Sports Flash. I'm Chuck Sanders. Baseball tonight, the Blue Jays and Yankees wrap up a series in Toronto. 10-4, Chris Bassett starts for Toronto. 11-3, Max Fried, the starter for New York. The Yankees head into the game 3 games out in the AL East after beating Toronto 5-4 on Tuesday. The Giants snapped a season-long 6-game losing skid with a 9-0 win at Atlanta. The teams wrap up the series this afternoon. 0-8 Justin Verlander starts for San Francisco. The former Cy Young Award winner still looking for his first win. 4-7 Spencer Strider is the starter for the Braves. Elsewhere today, the Phillies are home against the Red Sox. The Guardians host the Orioles. The Dodgers play host to the Twins. The White Sox visit Tampa. The Rangers home against the A's. The Astros visit the Diamondbacks. The Mariners and Brewers wrap up their series. Seattle trying to pick up ground in the AL West, chasing the division-leading Astros. Save big when you bundle auto and home, renters, or condo with Progressive. That's the SportsGrid Sports Flash. I'm Chuck Sanders.
All right, Takis fans. Wendy's knows you love your Takis Fuego chips. So we thought, why not make a Takis Fuego meal with a Takis Fuego chicken sandwich with spicy chicken topped with crushed Takis Fuego chips and creamy corn spread. Plus, it comes with Fuego fries inspired by Takis and a bag of Takis Fuego chips. If we had any more heat, we might start an actual... I told him this would happen. For an intense new take on Takis chips, gotta be Wendy's.
Limited time only at participating U.S. Wendy's. Includes 1 ounce Takis Fuego chips while supplies last. Takis and Fuego trademarks are used under license.
Our daughter Jessie loves playing detective.
A clue.
But since we discovered she has sensitive skin, we've been playing detective too.
We thought the problem was our puppy.
But it was actually our old detergent.
Aha.
So we switched to Tide Free and Gentle. Tide Free and Gentle provides an excellent Tide clean, and it doesn't leave behind irritating residues like dyes or perfumes, so it's gentle on your skin.
Case closed.
If it's got to be clean, it's got to be Tide Free and Gentle.
Springtime. When a young man's fancy turns to
Get your mind out of the gutter.
For sports gaming strategies and information that gives you an unfair advantage, you'll find it all right here.
It's the winning edge.
This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
It's going over some stuff here. A little backtracking, some barrels, and I really like the performances today. We're probably going to get Olsen and Baldwin for Atlanta, Torkelson and Perez for the Detroit Tigers, and then Bush and PCA for Chicago today make a lot of sense. Now, I just saw the lineup come out. Bush is going to lead off, Suzuki second. PCA is going to bat third today. The anticipation was he was going to bat fourth. It looks like no Kyle Tucker in the lineup today, which is a shame because he has really good numbers. But PCA, get this. His last 58 at-bats against right-handed pitching, He's got a hard contact rate of 56% and a barrel rate of 17%. That's awesome. And then you take a look at Michael Busch as a left-handed batter against righties. A 51% hard contact rate and a 22% barrel rate. That's fantastic. So that looks good right there. So, yeah, I agree with you, Chris, in the chat box on Busch and Tucker, but Tucker not being in the lineup today is kind of whack. Busch, Suzuki, Crow, Armstrong, Kelly, Happ, Swanson, Horner, McGuire, and Shaw in the lineup today for the Chicago Cubs. So I'm looking at that. Like, I like that. I think PCA. Now, PCA also, I'm looking on, because usually Bet365 is going to give you better RBI props than FanDuel is. He doesn't have the prop up yet because I guess they were waiting for the lineup to actually come out. Let me just see if FanDuel has the lineup, or excuse me, has the numbers we're looking for here. No, not the Pirates. Because PCA's number is probably going to be pretty low today, I would assume. That total's listed at 10 at Wrigley, too. There's going to be runs, man. There's going to be runs. Where's that RBI prop market? To record an RBI, where's PCA? PCA is plus 105. So, hold on. I just told, like, Michael Busch is plus 140 at Bet365. He's only plus 120 at FanDuel. See that? Like, you sort of know your books where you're getting the better price points, typically on a day-to-day basis. That's why I'm just taking a look right now and trying to find out when I'm going to get that number. But PCA for an RBI and Michael Busch for an RBI absolutely makes sense for the Cubbies today. So there's some afternoon action we can sink our teeth into right away. Don't have to wait till 5 or 6 o'clock here in the afternoon. Let's keep going down the list. That game obviously was Lugo and Wright. Didn't really look at Kansas City's side. So I was so enthralled really with just getting those, basics here. But Kansas City, Salvador Perez got great numbers, but I just sometimes get enamored with one side of that, and it's just the Chicago Cubs. Like, I don't want to mess it up. Like Busch and PCA, RBI props, let's get after it. And Chris is saying, like, Perez on the Royals, yeah, he has a good chance. By the way, he's at a 409 ISO against right-handed pitching over his last 72 at-bats. That's phenomenal pricing, or phenomenal numbers here for him. St. Louis and Colorado, Palante is going to be on the mound against a bad team. But by the way, I told you yesterday, 4.5 over on that total for the Rockies. Easily hit that. They scored 8 times. Tanner Gordon is on the mound. 71 batters he's faced this season. He's a right-handed pitcher. When's the last time he pitched, though? I don't have anything up for his last 30-day statistics. Let's do a little Gordon check, because you never want to just pass up a game that's going to be at 84-degree temperatures in Colorado. So we'll go Gordon, and that's Tanner. Let's go here. His game log listed at Fangraphs. 3 starts on the season. May 8th, May 23rd, May 28th. He gave up runs at 6 1/3 innings pitched, 7 runs, 4 earned in start number 1. 6 innings pitched, 2 earned runs in start number 2. And then on the 28th, 4 2/3 innings pitched and 2 earned runs. He hasn't been all that bad. So that may be one of those games where it's like, hey, you know what? I really wanted to check in and see what I can do there. But there's just not enough on Tanner Gordon. He probably should get rocked, to be honest. But not enough for me at that point. Rockies money line again, says Chris Warren in the chat box out here. Oh. Yeah, Francisco says plus 114 at Oaklawn, which I'm assuming is the number off PCA. I'm going to wait to see what he comes up on 365. Shouldn't be long now that roster just got released here. Milwaukee and Seattle, Quinn Priester, I told you. From a name, like an analytical analysis just from a name, don't do that to yourself. Don't do it to yourself. Like Quinn Priester has been really good this season. So yesterday, 6.5. So I was like, hey, I like the under. Game ended up 1-0. That's a great line. Great line. Luis Castillo is a good pitcher. I'm telling you right now. Like Milwaukee's lineup against right-handed pitching over the past 30 days is sensational. Turang is high. Yelich is high. Churio is high. Collins, Vaughn, Perkins, Durbin. That's a good-looking lineup today. Like, I like them. They're getting plus money. 340 start today. That's a plus 115, plus 120 price, depending on where you're shopping for Milwaukee. I think there's a legitimate chance that they can have some success. Houston and Arizona today. Brandon Walters on the mound. Very good analytical guy going up against Brandon Pfaadt. I'm passing on that game entirely. I don't necessarily love that game. Minnesota and Los Angeles. Paddock is a fade guy, man. Paddock is a really fade guy. And you're talking about Shohei Ohtani as a left-handed hitter going up against a guy who's right-handed that can't get lefties out. Like, he should roll today. Did Michael Conforto do anything yesterday? What has he been doing? 1 for 4 with a double. Previous game before that had a single. Power numbers really aren't there. Hasn't hit a home run since July 11th. Hasn't had a lot of RBI opportunities, but if you are a lefty going up against Paddock, like Shohei Ohtani's number is so low on a home run, it's ridiculous. But I don't know how you back it. I don't. Glass now just getting back into form on his side against a lineup that actually previews very well against right-handed pitching. Temperatures in Chavez Ravine, usually at night, it's like low 70s, high 60s, marine layer. Not this afternoon. That's 1 o'clock on the West Coast. That's 80-degree temperatures with close to 10-mile-an-hour winds blowing out to right center field. I feel like I want to fade like Paddock, and you know it's going to be Ohtani. But then again, it's almost like, all right, well, Freddie Freeman, did he get a base knock yesterday? He did get a base knock, 1 for 2. Do we trust him to get a base knock today? Maybe an RBI? Here's some of the thought process behind that, right? Betts hasn't had a very good season. Shohei's great. You figure Shohei's going to be on base in front of Teoscar Hernandez and Freddie Freeman. A chance for like an RBI shot. Maybe even Conforto at that spot. I don't want to conflate the issues between those two. Like, which way do you want to go? But Ohtani's numbers are so detrimental because of how low the price point is and what the return on investment is. It's kind of crazy. But at the same time, it's like, what do you think Ohtani does today? I don't know, double the gap, home run, RBI. It's what he does every single game, it feels like. I just don't know if I can press it down and say there's enough in that Dodgers lineup. Because, by the way, against right-handed pitching, like usually you should line up the Dodgers. They should just wreck shop on everybody. Outside of Conforto and Ohtani, they stink. The Dodgers, the Dodgers stink. Outside Ohtani and Conforto today with those pitching matchups based on the analytics here. One more segment to go, people. It's Moneyline on a Wednesday. Be right back.
We don't care what your high school girlfriend told you. You are a winner. Or at least you will be if you keep it here. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network. The new SportsGrid app is now available on iOS and the App Store. Experience the ultimate sports betting companion that provides personalized content from your favorite hosts. In-depth matchup previews, game and prop picks, live odds, stats, scores, and more. All in one place. And of course, on the SportsGrid app, you can tune into our live television and radio coverage anytime. On the go, wherever you are. Download the SportsGrid app on the iOS App Store now. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
For anyone who's worried about back taxes, has not filed tax returns, and doesn't know what to do next, stop and listen. Not filing your taxes can have severe consequences, especially in this political climate. Now that COVID is over, the IRS is getting aggressive, massively increasing enforcement and collection efforts. With politicians making all sorts of promises, especially when it comes to taxes, hiding and not dealing with your taxes will cause you harsh legal and financial ramifications. But right now, the IRS offers forgiveness and writes off a massive amount of tax debt. The Tax Doctor offers a free service that helps people get out of IRS collections and back in good standing with the government. Don't hide or bury your head in the sand. Take advantage of our free service. Call now to learn more. 800-816-4492. 800-816-4492. 800-816-4492. That's 800-816-4492.
Football Full Circle.
All we do on this show is talk about Trey Hendrickson and Shamar Stewart. I'm getting sick of it. There's Trey Hendrickson didn't show up to camp. Let's talk about it for the next 4 weeks because that's what it's all about. The Bengals made the mistake. Burrow, Chase, and Higgins, quite honestly, are more important to that team than Trey Hendrickson.
It's Football Full Circle with Ben Stevens and Joe Lisi. Weekdays noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific on the SportsGrid Radio Network. You're listening to SportsGrid, doing our part to spread the winning edge nationwide. Terrestrial, internet, TV, satellite, and our mobile app. Face it, you're one of us. One of us. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
Let's speed through the final couple of games on this card tonight. And again, a lot of afternoon action. 6:40 p.m. Baltimore and Cleveland. Slade Ciccone on the mound. I don't really love him too much, but he seems like a slippery pitcher. Where does Slade come in now? Because he used to be on the bottom of my charts. He's now moving up into the middle. 3.70 ERA, 4.24 xFIP, 58 innings pitched over the past 60 days. Decent looking lineup today for Baltimore. 83-degree temperatures in Cleveland. From a Cleveland perspective, Zach Eflin is on the mound, and Zach Eflin, where is he charting here? Where are you at, Zach? Zach 16th on my card today, 6.68 ERA over the past 60 days. Ooh, that's juicy. And a 4 xFIP number. Manzardo, Ramirez, Angel Martinez. That's an interesting one because we haven't had a lot of Eflin over the past 30 days. All-star break included, missing some starts here, struggling in the first half of the season, lefties getting the best of them. And here's the thing. See, this is where we're going to have to oh, you know what? I got to circle this. I do. Because I got to come back to this when the lineups are out. And keep in mind, again, people, this is a 6:40 game. Anticipated start, I just told you, like Eflin can't get lefties out. Quan lefty, Martinez lefty, Ramirez lefty, Manzardo lefty, Santana lefty, Jones lefty, Schneemann lefty, Rocchio lefty, Naylor lefty. Not all 9 batters lefties. That's crazy. That might just have to play. Hard contact rate here has been high the entire season, specifically to lefties. Where's the barrel rate at? We got any barrels of this guy? Lefties, you know what? I'm telling you right now. I got to circle Cleveland and check out that roster. That just might be a principal play, as we like to say. If a guy can't get out lefties and throw 9 lefties at the dude, come on now. As little Boosie would say, right? Philadelphia and Boston. Get this, people. Jesus Luzardo, analytics like him. ERA hates him. Barrel number's pretty high. So is the lefty-on-lefty contact, which, again, you're not going to have a lot of lefties in the lineup tonight. Roman Anthony, Jaron Duran, everybody else is probably going to be righty. I do like the Red Sox 3.5 team total tonight. So I think it's a good bounce-back spot. Luzardo's got a high ERA number. They didn't hit Sanchez last night, who was fantastic as a lefty. Luzardo maybe doesn't have it all back together just yet. And by the way, we're not talking about a starter, too. It's got like a 7 ERA over the past 2 months. That's ridiculous. So on my radar tonight also is a Boston team total. Yankees with Max Fried on the mound taking on Chris Bassett. I do like Cody Bellinger to get an RBI tonight in that game. Bassett struggles against lefties. Grisham's a lefty. Bellinger's a lefty. Chisholm is a lefty. Dominguez is a lefty. Wells and Vivas. That's also another team that I want to take a look at, and that is the Yanks. So there's really good opportunities today for alt team totals and parlay them together as well. But, you know, the later games, before we get out of here, which is only a couple minutes, I just want to recap what we have for the afternoon, which makes a lot of sense. The Braves team total over 3.5. It's juicy, guys, at minus 170, but I think they get to 4. RBI props, Olsen and Baldwin. Olsen's a plus 170 price. Baldwin's a plus 210 price. Detroit, then, you take a look at their team total over 4.5. I think it makes sense against Pittsburgh. Torkelson, plus 110 RBI price. Wenzel Perez at a plus 160. Then for the Chicago Cubs, I'm going to check one last time on 365 to see if we got the updates here with more RBI props, because I don't want to just sell. There we go. I think we do now. Just saw the lineups come out on here. Good. Let's see. PCA is a plus 120 price for an RBI, and Bush is a plus 140 price for an RBI. Like those two today. And then possibilities for later tonight. Cleveland's all-team total, maybe the New York Yankees all-team total as a parlay. We got some good stuff on the card today. We really do. Yeah, Francisco Carrasco out here. Luzardo strikeout props at 6.5. What are we thinking? He's so hit or miss. He could be on or on fire out there. Kristen Hesslick's Baltimore team total 3.5. I don't know if she likes it, but just listing it out there at 3.5. So there's opportunities today, but we'll be off and running right away. Now, later today, usually in the early afternoon, I don't really post too much things on the games itself, but those games later today that I do like, we'll certainly have some posts out there. So give me a follow on Twitter/X at RightSideVP. But this afternoon action, we're going to have some fun. We're going to get after it. That's a Wednesday show, people, right? Handicapping Major League Baseball all the way through, getting out those thoughts in the midst of football season getting underway. That's the way it's done. Now, Thursday, Kevin will be back with me. Friday, we'll be back to a solo mission. But we are so close to the month of August and preseason football, which is on deck for next week. Yeah, can't wait to see that happen. But it is lunchtime. Cheesesteaks today, people. Cheese steaks on deck for your boy DRS today. That's the way you get down. That's the way you end the show. That's the way you eat some lunch. Thanks for tuning in to a solo mission here on Moneyline. I'm your boy, Donnie Rightside, for JP Behind the Wheels of Skill. Make it sound good, and we'll see you tomorrow once again right here on the SportsGrid Network. All right, man. Let's go tomorrow, JP. Peace, brother.
Actionable insights, analysis, odds, and expert perspective on sports gaming.
Holding out and is on the practice field. The Raiders have signed three-time Pro Bowl safety Jamal Adams. He reunites with head coach Pete Carroll, who he played under for 4 seasons as a member of the Seattle Seahawks. Commanders receiver Terry McLaurin is holding out. He's got 1 year left on a 3-year, $68 million extension that he signed in 2022. Saints defensive back Tyrann Mathieu is retiring after 12 seasons. The veteran won a Super Bowl with Kansas City and said eventually he'd like to get into coaching. Save big when you bundle auto and home, renters, or condo with Progressive. That's the SportsGrid Sports Flash. I'm Chuck Sanders.
Lowe's knows big savings make a big difference, especially when you're shopping for appliances. Hurry in to get up to 30% off select major appliances. Plus, My Lowe's Rewards members get free delivery, free haul away, free installation and parts on purchases of $2,500 or more. Lowe's, we help, you save. Valid through 7/30. Selection varies by location. While supplies last. Price, delivery time, and vehicle availability may vary based on order size and location. Exclusions apply. See Lowe's.com/delivery for more details.
Progressive's Auto Quote Explorer lets you easily compare direct rates from different insurance companies, so you can be confident you're getting the right one, even if it's not with Progressive. Way more confident than you were when you bought that TV in a parking lot. It just happened to not come in a box or include a remote. And when you finally managed to turn it on, all it displayed was the menu of Grumpy's Tacos. So use Progressive's Auto Quote Explorer and be confident you're getting insurance that's right for you. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Not available in all states or situations. Prices vary based on how you buy.
If you want to be an alpha, you've got to get the winning edge. It's kind of a necessary ingredient if you want to lead the pack. So mark your territory with the winning edge. You're in the big leagues. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network. You're listening to Football Full Circle with Joe Lisi and Ben Stevens.
Live right here on Football Full Circle. It is FFC, all a part of the SportsGrid Radio Network and Sirius XM, Channel 159. That is the mastermind of the pigskin. He's Joe Lisi. I am Ben Stevens. And you can feel it in your blood on a day like today, this Wednesday, July 23rd, that training camp is fully and officially here. By the end of today, all 32 NFL teams will report to training camp. We had 30 of the 32 checking in yesterday. Our final 2 squads, the Atlanta Falcons and the Pittsburgh Steelers, showing up to camp as we speak. Lisi Guy, we are just 8 days away from the first football game of the year, albeit a preseason one, the Hall of Fame game a week from Thursday on a Thursday night in Canton, Ohio. And there is so much now to discuss. The offseason of Joe and I inventing storylines and narratives and division by division, conference by conference breakdown, that's over. It's training camp time now as we get you ready for the 2025 NFL campaign and all of the headlines that we have filtering in here as training camp begins in full across the entire National Football League.
Yeah, it's officially NFL season and college kicks off in just about 30 days. And there's nothing better. 1 month, 30 days, August 23rd, right? So we're about 1 month out from week number 0, and it can't be any better, Ben. I mean, this is honestly, it seems like the longest offseason, 8 months, it seems like that we're just itching to get the start to kick off pigskin, whether it be in the NFL preseason action or college football. But finally, now we could start talking about the players that'll impact their respective teams, the odds fluctuations, not just in the NFL, but certainly college football where there's no margin of error. And you could find value in the offseason, and that's really what it's all about, trying to really buy low and sell high on some of these teams in the NFL and college football.
There is so much to break down. Lisi's favorite subject, that would be contract disputes. We'll talk about the Bengals, but not Trey Hendrickson and Shamar Stewart today. Their early offseason and preseason plan with Joe Burrow to avoid those disastrous starts Cincinnati has gotten off to the last 3 years. And we'll go to college football as well. ACC and Big Ten Media Days starting yesterday. A lot was said. Kurt Cignetti on Indiana's historic year in the scheduling that has drawn a lot of ire throughout the country. Carson Beck, now at the helm of Miami, And speaking of transfer quarterbacks in the ACC, Thomas Castellanos is not backing down from calling out Alabama. So much to break down, Joe. Where do you want to start?
Well, I mean, I find the remarks by Castellanos and Florida State remarkable. You're talking about a 2-win football team last year. Their only Power 4 win came against Fernando Mendoza and Cal, basically as an underdog in that matchup. But when you look at this overall and Castellanos and what he brings to this team, they're really going to have to step up week number 1. We saw a movement in terms of the line from 12.5. We see 13.5s popping up. What does that mean for Kalen DeBoer and Ty Simpson potentially that have a 9.5 win total? Can they bounce back? But for Mike Norvell, you want to talk about a 360. You go from undefeated regular season to campaigning for a college football playoff berth to basically fighting for his job last year. You had the attrition 2 years ago and last year with players checking out. If they don't start fast this year, Ben, Mike Norvell might be looking for another job in 2026.
It's been an up and down tenure in Tallahassee under Norvell, Joe, that had back-to-back double-digit win seasons. And of course, infamously in the final year of 4 in the college football playoff, an unbeaten FSU, perfect 13-0, and the champions of the ACC left out in favor of Alabama. Jim Phillips, conference commissioner in the ACC, was asked about his league's treatment by ESPN, the television partner for the SEC, and the lone TV partner for the college football playoff. He said, listen, our rights deal with ESPN, they have been good to us. We'll talk about Thomas Castellanos in just a little bit. We'll talk more in the ACC, like a sold-out season in Chapel Hill. Yeah, season tickets sold out to take in Bill Belichick's debut with the Tar Heels and his first in college football. But, Joe, I think we begin in the National Football League. We talked about Micah Parsons and his contract dispute. Jerry Jones loving the drama. Each and every year the Cowboys show up to training camp, but basically in his playbook, he'll have the drama. He'll say what he says to make some headlines in front of the mic, and then ultimately, even if it's not the savviest financial or business move, he ends up paying top dollar and a premium. Well, Micah Parsons was asked about that philosophy and his own contract situation yesterday after the first day of on-field workouts in Oxnard, California for the Cowboys in training camp. And Micah basically referred to the guys that have been paid this offseason, Max Crosby, Myles Garrett, TJ Watt, and saying, Joe, that they were taken care of early. He wishes he had the same energy from his own organization and ownership group. So the two sides do seem to be pretty far off at this moment, Joe. Ultimately, we still believe a deal is going to get done for Micah Parsons.
Yeah, I mean, for Micah to come out and be verbal and say, like, hey, he wants to be treated like the others, I get that. But he's talking about an organization that at times you can argue is overpaid for stars, right? Jerry, we talk about being very open with his pocketbook and his wallet and, pays players like Dak Prescott and back in the day with Zeke Elliott and some of the linemen that they have signed throughout the past 10 or 15 seasons. He has no problem stepping up and overpaying at potential positions. I think right now he might just be waiting to see how the landscape plays out over the next couple of weeks. He's made some comments. He actually called Micah Parsons, Michael Parsons, whether that be on purpose or by accident, it doesn't matter. It obviously tweaked something in terms of Micah Parsons, going to the plate and saying, hey, I feel like I'm being treated somewhat unfairly. But when you look at some of these other players, Myles Garrett, and we're talking about TJ Watt and Max Crosby that got their money, I think there's no doubt that Jerry will step up and sign Micah at some point, and most likely will make him higher than all three of those players combined. So I think he's going to get his money, but just let it play out. If there's one owner you don't want to go toe-to-toe with, I would say it would be Jerry Jones.
Yeah, and that's the case, Joe. I think what you referred to right there, Micah Parsons is going to get paid. I feel pretty confident in that answer. But this is what Jerry Jones has done. We remember Ezekiel Elliott's holdout in Cabo many years ago, even last year with CeeDee Lamb and Dak Prescott. It was kind of the black cloud that was hanging over Cowboys training camp when with these large contract extensions be done. They were, but not until late August, right before the season was about to start, not at the very beginning of training camp. This is kind of his card. This is what he does. So I do believe Micah Parsons is going to get paid. I think it is going to be right there with Myles Garrett and TJ Watt, $40+ million per year, even though had he done this last year with some financial foresight again, he could have saved himself about $5 million per season and still made Micah Parsons the highest paid edge rusher, pass rusher / non-quarterback in the National Football League. But I think there's something to it, Joe, that Jerry Jones likes the idea of being like, all right, I know that was dramatic, huh? But we did it for the cameras. We did it for the headlines. And at the end of the day, Joe, I think does take great pride, whether it's the smartest business move or not, of being able to say, I gave you top dollar.
Yeah, and think about this, right? He's the last player out of his position group in terms of marquee talent with him and Trey Hendrickson, right, getting their money. And Jerry might want to prolong it. Yeah, good publicity, bad publicity, as long as they're talking about the Dallas Cowboys, that's all Jerry Jones cares about.
I think you're on to something with that one, Lisa guy. All right, elsewhere around training camp, some headlines from the first day of reporting yesterday and what we're seeing on this Wednesday. That's next on FFC.
4 out of 5 scientists agree it's smarter to be on SportsGrid. And we're pretty sure that one scientist is still a virgin.
He just gives that 5.
This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
With your news flash, I'm Trey Westerberg. This update brought to you by Progressive. Heavy metal legend Ozzy Osbourne has passed away. He was 76 years old. The announcement was made Tuesday, just weeks after his farewell show. A family statement from Birmingham, England said, quote, "It is with more sadness than mere words can convey that we have to report that our beloved Ozzy Osbourne has passed away. He was with family and surrounded by love. In 2020, he revealed he had Parkinson's disease after suffering a fall." President Donald Trump announced a trade framework with Japan on Tuesday, placing a 15% tax on goods imported from that nation. The president said Japan would invest, quote, "at my direction, $550 billion into the U.S. and would open its economy to American autos and rice." The 15% tax on imported Japanese goods is a meaningful drop from the 25% rate that Trump said would be levied starting August 1st. I'm Trey Westerberg with your news flash.
Lowe's knows big savings make a big difference, especially when you're shopping for appliances. Hurry in to get up to 30% off select major appliances. Plus, My Lowe's Rewards members get free delivery, free haul away, free installation and parts on purchases of $2,500 or more. Lowe's, we help, you save. Valid through 7/30. Selection varies by location. While supplies last. Price, delivery time, and vehicle availability may vary based on order size and location. Exclusions apply. See Lowes.com/delivery for more details.
Here's Comedians and Skechers Getting Comfortable, presented by Hands-Free Skechers Slip-Ins.
Hey, I'm Bobby Slayton, and I'm here with my pal, comedian, and Skechers ambassador, Mr. Howie Mandel.
Why did it take so long to invent something as amazing as Slip-Ins? I know it seems simple, but it took Skechers to invent a better pair of shoes.
Yep, with Skechers Slip-Ins, you just step it and go. You don't have to touch your shoes. And by the way, Slip-Ins are for the whole family, men, women, and kids. In all your favorite Skechers styles, find Skechers Slip-Ins at a Skechers store, Skechers.com, or wherever stylish footwear is sold.
There's something you should know and always remember.
SportsGrid does not increase luck.
We're your unfair advantage for the latest sports gaming information. If you're looking for luck,
go find a horseshoe.
This is the SportsGrid Radio Network. You're listening to Football Full Circle with Joe Lisi and Ben Stevens.
30 of 32 NFL teams reported to training camp yesterday. The final two on this Wednesday, that being the Falcons and the Steelers. And Joe, as you're watching the walk-in videos and everybody making their training camp entrance and appearance, not only are you paying attention to who is showing up at camp, but who also might not be walking into the facility. Yesterday, outside the nation's capital, that included Terry McLaurin. He did not report to training camp for the Commanders on Tuesday. He has been hoping for a new deal. Entering his 7th NFL season, it would be his 3rd contract with Washington. And Joe, you and I have spoken at length about this. It feels like it would be beneficial for both sides. The Commanders having their best year in more than 3 decades last year in McLaurin, who was a key part of why that happened. and a key part of everything bad before the good we think should be rewarded. Hasn't happened just yet. Terry McLaurin holding out of training camp as we speak.
Yeah, I think, again, there's another player that will definitely have to be on that roster for Washington to compete for an NFC championship. And I understand we've brought it up, his age is 29 years old. But when you look at the numbers and you look at the productivity prior to Jaden Daniels, you make the argument, well, maybe he's not a pure number one. And then all of a sudden, Jaden Daniels gets there and he has, his best season as it relates to touchdowns and just yards per catch. He elevates to another level. And you really have to take that into account with his age, saying, okay, he's still got gas in the tank. This isn't like an Adam Thielen type of player that you say, you know what, he's sort of regressing speed-wise and maybe we can't make that commitment for 3 or 4 seasons. He's sort of still peaking. And now with Jaden Daniels that has that quarterback to wide receiver relationship, you got to say, you know what, let's get this guy. Even if we sign him to, let's say, a 4-year deal and we get 2.5 great years of Terry McLaurin, that still gives us the best shot to challenge the Philadelphia Eagles in the division and challenge for an NFC championship. If he's not there, now you throw that whole offense in disarray and really have to rely on an aging Zach Ertz and an aging Deebo Samuel to carry the torch, and that's not what you want right now.
No doubt about it, Joe. And I think the main reason is that veteran status that McLaurin has and the oldest team in the NFL is used to, that being the Commanders. Terry McLaurin is 29, but he turns 30 in September. It will be his 7th NFL season. This is his 3rd contract. Right now, Joe, the going rate for the best wide receivers is $28+ million. There are 11 wideouts now that have signed an extension in the last 2 off seasons for $28+ million per year. Only one of those guys, though, is currently 30 or turning 30 this offseason, and that's Tyreek Hill. So I think it's an age thing for Terry McLaurin, figuring out the length in the increased salary cap, giving him his reward for sticking it out with the Commanders, consistently producing despite dismal times, and reaping the benefits of actually being in a stable franchise. Now, I do believe it is going to be figured out. We'll see exactly when that happens for McLaurin and the Commanders. Joe, a couple of guys showed up to camp yesterday despite hoping for new deals. Kyren Williams and James Cook, 2 very productive running backs last year. Cook, maybe his best year in Buffalo, his 2nd consecutive with more than 1,000 yards. Same story for Williams, 2 straight years with LA with more than 1,000 yards. Both guys drafted after round 1 in 2022. Cook, 2nd round. Williams, 5th round, but this is the 4th and final year of their rookie deals, both hoping for that 2nd contract with this franchise. But it's all the idea, Joe, about the resurgence of the running back, both in value and salary. How much do you spend on James Cook and Kyren Williams? I think that is the debate.
Yeah, it's a debate. Are they Saquon and Derrick Henry-esque? No, but they're right under that as it relates to productivity. And I think if we're looking at both players, if you're giving me both guys, Kyren and James Cook, which one would I, if they're on my team, which one would I rush to sign first? It would be James Cook. And he gets a bad rap. His ability to catch the football out of the backfield, coupled with his home run ability, just taking it to the house, I think is overlooked. Again, he's a 1,000-yard rusher. You look at some of the key performances last year, 175 yards against Dallas. He breaks out, had a great AFC championship game, and then all of a sudden the offensive staff on the final drive takes him out of the lineup. Why, I'll never know. I know Ty Johnson's there and sweet baby Ray Davis, but I think James Cook is right there. Can be just like his brother Dalvin at the heyday of his Minnesota career. He is a very integral part of Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills' success as it relates to the rushing attack. Sign him sooner rather than later. For Kyren, I still believe, hey, they're a balanced offense as well. I think he's an above-average runner. He gets his yards, runs hard, but they have Blake Corum there now. He's been getting a little bit more carries at the end of the year. Kyren will be signed as well. It's just that I believe it's more important for the Buffalo Bills to get James Cook happy, signed, sealed, and delivered if they're going to compete for an AFC championship.
Career year for Cook, 16 rushing touchdowns, tied for the most in the NFL alongside Derrick Henry, who was paid this offseason, and Jahmyr Gibbs. Now, are either of these two guys, Joe, going to make the Derrick Henry $15 million per year, the Christian McCaffrey slightly under $20 million per year, or the Saquon Barkley more than $20 million per year? No, but both James Cook and Kyren Williams are younger than all three of those guys. I do think they will get extended in this second deal. It's just a matter of how much money it is. We saw guys last offseason like DeAndre Swift in Chicago, Tony Pollard in Tennessee get around $8 million per year. Josh Jacobs, $12 million per year on a 4-year, $48 million deal with the Green Bay Packers and be immediately successful. Jacobs with the Pack, I got a feeling it's going to be around that ballpark of probably $10 to $12 million for both James Cook and Kyren Williams. But it's interesting, right? When you look at a guy like Kyren Williams, and you mentioned Blake Corum, both day 3 draft picks in LA, it's like, well, we hit on a guy that was a 5th rounder. If he can give us that production on his discounted rookie rate, do we need to sign him? That is the debate, Joe, with running backs. But I think we have seen the resurgence in their value the last few years.
Yeah, I mean, just because Kyren was that guy doesn't necessarily mean Blake's that guy. And once he's done that, you have to reward him. Again, I think they're worth $12 to $13 million each.
Yep, we'll talk more about what we are seeing during training camp, including, Joe, a starting quarterback named in New York. We'll talk about that next on FFC.
There's smart
and there's not smart.
Not smart is hope as a strategy. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Keep it here
and win. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network. The SportsGrid Radio Network presents This Date in Sports History.
1866, the Cincinnati Baseball Club is formed as the Red Stockings. The Reds franchise is best known for the years of dominance in 1975 and 1976, known as the Big Red Machine. Cincinnati beat the Red Sox and Yankees in back-to-back championships during those 2 seasons.
That's it. The Cincinnati Reds win the World Series in 4 straight. It was a sweep.
For SportsGrid Radio, I'm Mike DeMurgis.
The Technology Minute with George Capalbo.
Are you looking to get into shape? If you need to find motivation, a new study from the UK suggests matching your personality type to your workout generates maximum results. The perfect activity for high-energy extroverts? Group sports. If you're more the nervous type, short bursts of activity with long breaks in between. Matching workouts to personality means more fun and success. Of course, if your natural state of fitness, snoozing on the couch, just take your old hound dog out for a walk. Follow me, I'm G. Capalbo on X, and stay tuned to the Technology Minute for more cool stuff like this.
Carver and Lisi.
Can this Simpson get a hit, Joe?
That guy's a hack. He's a slap hitter. The guy's a, he sucks.
Can he slap one to left field here and drive it running?
That guy is he's like Willie Mays Hayes when he first started and he hit the ball by accident. That guy sucks. Where you going, meet? About 90 feet, remember?
It's Carver and Lisi with Mike Carver and Joe Lisi. Weekdays 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 Pacific on the SportsGrid Radio Network. There comes a point when the chips are down.
To coin a phrase.
When the only thing you can do is stop and wait. Do you want to face that moment prepared?
Or rely on luck?
Get the winning edge. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network. You're listening to Football Full Circle with Joe Lisi and Ben Stevens.
Live right here on Football Full Circle, it is FFC. Joe, not only are teams reporting to training camp in the last 24 hours, but when you have report day, you walk into the facility, you check in, you get your hotel room if you're staying somewhere else like the Steelers today in Latrobe at St. Vincent College, or you're just making sure you're going through meetings, all that stuff. But really the day after report day is your first on the practice field. And earlier today, Joe, we got word from Brian Daboll of the New York Giants. Not that it was much question, who would be the week 1 starter for New York this year. But now we have official confirmation. Daboll telling reporters, quote, "These guys will be out here competing, but Russ is our starter." Russell Wilson will be that day 1, week 1 starter for the New York Giants in 2025.
Yeah, we knew that when they signed Russ, and he goes into the facility and he gives a big hug to Brian Daboll. What was that, in April? And it looked like they had, a relationship going back for the last 10 years that he saw his best friend. When you look at Brian Daboll and you look at Joe Shine and you just look at the success of the New York Giants, for them to be there, Russell Wilson has to start, right? He has to start and hopefully get you to at least 8, 9, or potentially 10 wins, and then develop Jackson Dart at the very least and say, hey, we have a plan for year number 4 in New York. If that doesn't happen and Russ is not the starter, then the organization looks in disarray. There was no reason to sign 2 veteran quarterbacks, let alone 1, and then along with Jackson Dart, right? So if this team is going to have any success and get over the 5.5 wins, Russell Wilson should start. But again, goes back to the thing, is Jackson Dart really the face of the future of the organization, or is he just a project that they took a shot on?
Yeah, and Joe, to me, that is the fascinating conversation for the G-men this year. It really is, right? Because Brian Daboll and Joe Shane are on the warmest seats around the National Football League as a head coach, as a GM. If they go under 5.5 wins, which is expected, by the way, the juice on the under at -130 in the second most difficult schedule in the National Football League, nobody would be surprised, even if the product on the field looks slightly better. They've got a pretty good stout defense. They've got some talent offensively outside of the quarterback position. But Joe, I think to return next year, it's either 7, 8, 9 wins with Russ, which I think is unlikely, or even in a bad year, you turn the keys over to Jackson Dart, who's not the week 1 starter, but might he be the week 11 starter or week 8 starter, whatever that could look like, and he has to show that promise. You traded back into the first round to get this guy. That's not a project. That's, hey, we believe this guy could start right here, right now, and win us football games, or at least show the Mara family that we deserve another year in our jobs. Because if the Giants are bad and they're picking in the top 3, top 5 in what is expected to be a pretty front-loaded quarterback class in 2026, are we going to have a new GM head coach looking for a new quarterback and looking for the future?
Well, think about this. I'll pose a scenario for you, and you tell me what you would do. I know what I would do, but this is the problem that they have, meaning the Giants, the actual organization, not Daboll and Shine. Let's say they play the first 10 games. They're competitive, and they're 4-6, under 500, right, with 7 games to go. Okay, is Daboll then going to say, you know what, we have an outside shot to get to 500, and I'll window dress it? And I'll make it look like, hey, look at what I did with Russell Wilson, and start Russ the rest of the way. Let's say they get to 8 or 9 and you don't get any game experience for Jackson Dart. Now you just wasted a whole season, as opposed to, if the same situation where a coach that has stability at 4-6 goes, you know what? We're out of contention for the most part. I want to develop the kid because I want to be ready for year number 4, year number 5. Now they don't have that option because their backs are against the wall, and now you just wasted a whole season.
Yep, completely agree, Joe. I think that's really well said, right? Are they going to push Daboll and Shane, and nobody's going to admit to losing games or hoping to practice for the future? Are they going to push, though, even if their shot of making the playoffs is unlikely, to post that winning record? And if that means they are hurting themselves for the future, but they're holding on to their jobs, what does it mean for the Giants organization as a whole? By the way, speaking of Jackson Dart, his first reps, Joe, in 11-on-11 in live action, taken back for a pick 6. Part of the beauty of training camp, you're getting that practice video and practice footage, and you can make grand statements based on only one play. I do believe Jackson Dart will start multiple games this year, just a matter of when. More FFC next.
The winning edge. You've got it. But not everybody has has it, because not everybody listens to us. But we're working on that. This is the Sports Grid Radio Network.
Progressive presents the Sports Grid Sports Flash. I'm Chuck Sanders. NFL training camps are kicking into high gear this week. Saints defensive back Tyrann Mathieu retiring after 12 seasons. The veteran won a Super Bowl with Kansas City and said eventually he'd like to get into coaching. The Panthers have released linebacker Josie Jewell. The veteran continues to experience concussion symptoms. A team spokesman said the 30-year-old wanted to prioritize his health and recovery and be considerate of teammates. Cowboys All-Pro edge rusher Micah Parsons says he's discouraged that a long-term deal hasn't been reached with the organization. He's not holding out and is on the practice field. The Raiders have signed three-time Pro Bowl safety Jamal Adams. He reunites with head coach Pete Carroll, who he played under for 4 seasons as a member of the Seattle Seahawks. Commanders receiver Terry McLaurin is holding out. He's got 1 year left on a 3-year, $68 million extension that he signed in 2022. Save big when you bundle auto and home, renters, or condo with Progressive. That's the Sports Grid Sports Flash. I'm Chuck Sanders.
Macy's has summer deals so big, it's like Black Friday in July. Come in for unbeatable summer savings, like dazzling fine jewelry, now 40 to 75% off, and airy linen blazers from Tommy Hilfiger and more for over half off. Plus, get 3-piece floral print comforter sets for just $21.99. These deals are too big to wait for November, so hurry in. Black Friday in July and Sunday at Macy's. Savings off already reduced prices. Exclusions apply.
Ugh. Kitchen ants, runaway roaches, a spider. A spider! A spider! Relax. Just use Zevo. Zevo insect killer sprays use a powerful blend of mint and rosemary to eliminate those pests and up to 20 other bug types. Plus, Zevo is safe for use around people and pets when used as directed. Just spray the bugs and wipe them away. Zevo. People friendly, bug deadly.
You're listening to Sports Grid.
Spreading the winning edge far and wide.
Terrestrial, internet, TV, satellite, and don't forget our mobile app.
Face it.
The winning edge is everywhere.
Somewhere there's a squirrel frustrated he can't get a phone.
This is the Sports Grid Radio Network. You're listening to Football Full Circle with Joe Lisi and Ben Stevens.
Live right here on Football Full Circle, it is FFC. A few more notes from the NFL, Joe, before we turn our attention to college football. We talked about Russell Wilson officially being named the starter in New York. Earlier in the offseason, we had 4 teams, 4 markets, if you will, Joe, that you could bet on who would be that week 1 starter for that franchise. Russell Wilson was a hefty favorite at minus 1250 to win the job for the Giants. That is now done. Back and forth this offseason, the Colts have gone. It was Anthony Richardson, despite signing Daniel Jones. And then Richardson was going to miss some time during the offseason and mandatory minicamp, dealing with issues in his right throwing shoulder. A shoulder that he had surgery on that shortened his rookie year to only 4 games. Of course, there are questions on if AR is truly a franchise quarterback in the NFL. As of this moment, Joe, Anthony Richardson is now back to the favorite to be the week 1 starter for Indy at minus 130. But James Boyd, who covers the Colts for The Athletic, tweeting out today, Joe, that QB Anthony Richardson now in with the second unit on 11 on 11, and then 7-7 was nearly picked off by Alex Johnson. Cornerback Kenny Moore just picked off Daniel Jones in 7 on 7. They rotated AR and Danny Dimes first and second team reps, but James Boyd did say Jones has gotten the majority or more of the first team reps so far, very early on in camp. But of course, Joe, that might be the most contentious quarterback battle we have throughout training camp.
Yeah, so if you look at the prices, minus 130, plus 102, the minus 130s on AR and Daniel Jones at plus 102. Anytime I could get Daniel Jones with plus money, I would take it. And the reason why I say that is, look, I understand both quarterbacks threw a pick in camp. I get that. But we're talking about who's a better pocket passer, and it's Daniel Jones over AR. Now, I understand that if Anthony Richardson was 100% healthy, he should be the starter for the 17 games. You make an assessment on him, and then you move on, whether he's good enough to be your guy in 2026 or not. But if he's got a nagging shoulder injury that could basically curtail this team's chances at winning a wild card or even the division and making a playoff run, you have to start Daniel Jones. You know, you're putting the other 52 players at a disadvantage going in with a quarterback that, even when he's healthy, has struggles throwing with completion percentage. Now you couple in the fact that he's got a shoulder injury and you don't know if it's 100% healthy and it's going to nag throughout the season. We're not talking about Tom Brady. We're talking about a guy that completed 47% of his passes. 47. That's an issue. You know, I'm just saying, like, I would go all in Daniel Jones, give AR the benefit of the doubt if you want to say September, and then put him in. But you have to go with a healthy quarterback week one.
And, Joe, there is some talent for this Indianapolis Colts team. It is year number 3 under Shane Steichen. They were 9-8 2 years ago, 8-9 last year, and even 500, 17-17. And he has been dealing with the trials and tribulations and the health of Anthony Richardson and his poor performance on the field. You mentioned the completion percentage of 47%. It was the worst among qualified quarterbacks in the NFL last year. He played and started 11 games. He was the only quarterback that played at least 10 games last year that had a completion percentage worse than 60%. I'm not sure Daniel Jones is the answer, but there's a little bit more pedigree and experience in what we have seen. Colts GM Chris Ballard, as training camp got underway yesterday, said he does not view this upcoming season, AR's third in the NFL, as make or break. When he was pressed on why not, he said, quote, "Do you think people regret Baker Mayfield's timeline?" Sam Darnold's, the guy James Boyd, who covers the Colts for The Athletic, replied, "Well, those guys had to go to multiple different teams to see that level of success. Might not happen in Indianapolis," is the insinuation.
I just want to say this, and he made those correlations to Baker Mayfield and Sam Darnold coming out of Oklahoma and USC respectively, that, let's be honest, in college, they had a completion percentage well over 60%. Baker Mayfield had one of the highest completion percentages in all of college football during his time in Norman. So that's the first aspect. I'll throw a different aspect in correlation at Chris Ballard. How about Tim Tebow? We bashed him that he couldn't throw for more than 10, 15 yards. What's the difference between Tim Tebow and Anthony Richardson? You ran him out of the NFL. And again, I believe that Anthony Richardson needs time, possibly in 2 or 3 other teams, just like Sam Darnold. He could potentially develop. But this was a cause of concern coming out of Florida. He didn't have a high completion percentage. He struggled in the pocket with turnovers, and we're seeing the same thing. And oh, by the way, you sprinkle in a shoulder injury now. How, as a GM and a head coach, can you look those other players in the face and say, we have to go with AR, who's not 100% healthy?
Yeah, it's a really good point, Joe. It really is. There is a time for development, and there's a time to just winning football games. 7.5, that win total in Indianapolis entering this season. The under has the juice at -120.
Would you take a shot? Would you take a shot on that? I would take a shot on that over if Daniel Jones starts. I really would. I would. With Jonathan Taylor, I think Steichen is good enough head coach to at least get them to 8 or 9 wins.
I lean under for what it's worth with either quarterback. I don't think it's 4 wins, but I'm not sure I see comfortably getting to 8 or 9 where things stand. The AFC South will provide some opportunities. Leasy guy elsewhere around the NFL, some of those QB markets to be the week 1 starter are still up. The Browns is not. Don't know why. No starter has been named in Cleveland between Kenny Pickett, Joe Flacco, Shedeur Sanders, or Dylan Gabriel. The only market that is still up in New Orleans, a -245 price on the rookie Tyler Shuck to be that week 1 starter. We feel that is probably the case, as Derek Carr announced his retirement earlier in the offseason in the Big Easy back in May. And yesterday, Tyrann Mathieu, who was still a starter in the defensive backfield for New Orleans, announces his retirement as well at the end of 12 seasons in the age of 33. One of the great college football players we have ever seen at LSU, both what he did defensively and when he got the ball in his hands as a kick and punt returner. Tyrann Mathieu, the Honey Badger, a Super Bowl champion with the Chiefs in 2019 and a 3-time All-Pro performer, calls it a career, Joe, after 12 seasons.
The Honey Badger. When LSU was looked at as DBU before wide receiver U, right? Patrick Peterson, Morris Claiborne. You just keep going through the Grant Delpit back in the day a couple of years ago with Cleveland. Ryan Clark. He was a safety, though. I'm talking more corners and lockdown guys. Morris Claiborne. Peterson. Yeah. Those guys, I like them better. Sure. But here's the thing. You're talking about the Honey Badger always around the football, a player that transformed the position. He was utilized in run blitzes, came up in the line of scrimmage. Yeah. Despite his size, he wasn't afraid to tackle in open space. He was really a player that just, went under the radar when we think about some of the great, defensive backs over the past, 5 to 10 seasons. He calls it a career, and even last year, was opportunistic in certain games for the Saints. So you could make an argument he was one of the more consistent performers on the Saints. But again, this team is in a major rebuild. He moves on. He's great for LSU, great for the city of New Orleans, and it wouldn't shock me if he goes into broadcasting because of the personality. He's going to be recognized over the next 5 to 10 years.
Says he wants to go into coaching, and under Steve Spagnuolo in Kansas City, he was kind of that leader on the defensive side of the ball for the Chiefs before Chris Jones kind of came on and took over that mantle. So the Honey Badger calls it a career. Joe, the Saints, some key pieces and a lot of questions this year for Kellen Moore in his first year. New Orleans now officially the worst win total in the NFL by themselves. 5.5, the under heavily juiced at -165, and the longest price to win a Super Bowl at 400 to 1. Not great in the Big Easy, to say the least. All right, we turn our attention to college football. ACC, Big Ten Media Days, next on Football Full Circle.
We're not saying every SportsGrid listener is a legend, but you might start thinking about who's going to play you in the movie. Just saying. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
With your news flash, I'm Trey Westerberg. This update brought to you by Progressive. Heavy metal legend Ozzy Osbourne has passed away. He was 76 years old. The announcement was made Tuesday, just weeks after his farewell show. A family statement from Birmingham, England said, quote, "It is with more sadness than mere words can convey that we have to report that our beloved Ozzy Osbourne has passed away. He was with family and surrounded by love. In 2020, he revealed he had Parkinson's disease after suffering a fall." President Donald Trump announced a trade framework with Japan on Tuesday, placing a 15% tax on goods imported from that nation. The president said Japan would invest, quote, "at my direction, $550 billion into the U.S. and would open its economy to American autos and rice." The 15% tax on imported Japanese goods is a meaningful drop from the 25% rate that Trump said would be levied starting August 1st. I'm Trey Westerberg with your news flash.
Lowe's knows big savings make a big difference, especially when you're shopping for appliances. Hurry in to get up to 30% off select major appliances. Plus, My Lowe's Rewards members get free delivery, free haul away, free installation and parts on purchases of $2,500 or more. Lowe's, we help, you save. Valid through 7/30. Selection varies by location. While supplies last. Price, delivery time, and vehicle availability may vary based on order size and location. Exclusions apply. See Lowe's.com/delivery for more details.
Drivers who switch and save with Progressive could save hundreds. With that kind of money, you could go big time and skip the regular line at the airport and pay for speedy security. Imagine not having to quickly unpack and pack at the place you already came packed to. And wearing your shoes the whole time you're there? You can't put a price on that kind of luxury. Well, actually you can, and you paid for it. Switch to Progressive and you could save big time for speedy security. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, not available in all states. Potential savings will vary.
Remember when you were thankful you could just get AM and FM?
Things have progressed.
Now even an app on your phone can give you a 21st century thrill with that little drop of heaven called the deposit notification. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network. You're listening to Football Full Circle with Joe Lisi and Ben Stevens.
Live right here on Football Full Circle. It's FFC. It's also College Football Conference Media Days. They continue this week, both in Charlotte for the ACC and in Las Vegas for the Big Ten. Today, Joe, in Charlotte, That man, Thomas Castellanos, is not afraid of a microphone. Earlier in the offseason, Joe, basically was talking about the week 1 opener for FSU, his new school, the transfer from Boston College, in Doak Campbell against Alabama, and said the Tide doesn't have Nick Saban to save them any longer. They can't stop me. He was asked today by reporters at ACC kickoff in Charlotte, do you walk back or think you should have said anything differently? He goes, yeah, probably, but we stand by what I said. I meant no disrespect to those guys in Tuscaloosa. I just am confident in what we are doing. Disrespect saying they can't stop you is still disrespect, Thomas, but I understand you're trying to gas up your own boys and your own offense. Florida State, an incredibly compelling team, Joe. 13 wins in 2023, 2 wins in 2024, an 11-win drop-off, the second worst win percentage change in a negative way in college football FBS history. What do you expect out of the Noles this year, led by, let's say, the confident Thomas Castellanos?
Well, look, he has to be confident, but you don't want to give bulletin board material to a team that's 12.5, 13.5 point favorites. And I can understand if Thomas Castellanos comes to Florida State as basically a world beater like Arch Manning or, some of the great quarterbacks in college football. Let's not forget, Thomas Castellanos gets the victory over Florida State week number 2, right, as a 14-point dog, gives way to Grayson James, right? In the middle part of the year. Week 1, well, technically it was week. It was
Florida State's second game after the Dublin debut. Right.
Week 1, they're 14-point favorites, and obviously BC wins the ball game outright. Bill O'Brien and Castellanos do it with his legs. They do it with a heavy rushing attack. He loses his job to Grayson James. He steps up and gets the cover against Missouri. That's all well and good. But you lost to a better pocket passer in Grayson James, who I actually like that kid. I like Grayson James. He got me the cover as an 18.5-point dog on the road in Dallas against SMU. But, what are we doing here? If you couldn't elevate and become a starter with a quarterback technically whisperer and Bill O'Brien, you're going to go to Mike Norvell. There's tons of question marks. This team has a confidence problem now from going 13-0 to a 2-win football team. And now you want to give bulletin board material to Alabama that still has 4- and 5-star recruits? Are you crazy? I'm crazy enough to maybe take the 13.5. But I'll tell you this. What are you off your rocker? Are you off your rocker?
Listen. I love that you built that up as this guy's insane. He shouldn't be doing this. He's absolutely nuts. But you got to have a little crazy if you're going to pull off the upset or at least keep it within margin against the Crimson Tide in a season opener. Crazy begets crazy, and Lisi might be in. I think the Noles are fascinating, Joe, because Mike Norvell is a great recruiter, and he has used the transfer portal very well. Florida State has reassembled a pretty strong roster, as they had on paper with DJ Uiagalelei last year. Of course, that did not work. But Florida State, with its talent and some previous track record of success under Mike Norvell, 23 wins in total in 2022-23, only 2 last year. Win total is 7.5. The under has the hefty juice at -200. I do wonder, though, Joe, if it's under that number, as the odds makers expect, and they get beat bad at home in Tallahassee week 1, that's what I was alluding to. Yeah, he's probably fine.
But on the flip side, when we look at the number, Ben, let's give them a loss to Alabama. Let's just say they play well, but they lose. They got East Texas A&M, Kent State, Virginia on the road, Miami in a rivalry game, in Pittsburgh at home. Yeah. You can make the argument there's the possibility to be 5-1. If we're giving them you can't lose to East Texas A&M and Kent State. I'm sorry, you can't do it. He would be fired on the spot based off of last year. Virginia's a winnable game. Charlottesville's not easy, but Tony Elliott lost some talent over there. Calandria's not there as well. So that's not going to be, easy, but that's definitely a winnable game. Miami, anything could happen. Now, you don't have the quarterback edge with Carson Beck, but still, it's in your house.
Who you ask,
Right, yeah, it depends on who you ask. And then Pittsburgh. After that, you get Stanford, Wake Forest. I mean, Ben, they could be 7-1. I'm just saying it's realistic. If we're talking about schedules lining up for this team to overexceed, there's no reason why this team on paper can't be a 7 or an 8-win football team. Put it this way, if they're not and they struggle early, he could be gone before October.
You know, it's a really good point, Joe. You look at the docket, it is not overly difficult for Florida State. Using the ESPN Football Power Index, Florida State has the second most difficult schedule within the ACC. I'm not so sure about that. I mean, the non-conference games against Alabama and Florida, the rivalry game against the Gators, are probably the reason why. And they do have a road trip to Clemson. But the only other ranked team, at least on paper, they are going to see is Miami, first weekend of October, and that game is at home. Speaking of ACC Media Days, tomorrow we will hear from Bill Belichick at ACC kickoff. North Carolina has sold out its season tickets for 2025 in Chapel Hill. Everybody excited about Chapel Bill.
Yeah, why not, right? I mean, that's why you brought him. Isn't it eerily ironic that we had all this noise about his relationship? We haven't heard a peep over the last month and a half. It's been dead radio silence. That's obviously like New England Patriot-esque per se. I'll just say that.
I completely agree. Back in March, whatever. We're getting ready for fall camp. A different story. UNC's win total 7.5. The underjuiced at -168. Big Ten ball talk next.
Luck is winning the lottery. Strategy is settling your divorce before cashing in the ticket.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Get the winning edge. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network. SportsGrid TV and radio networks are the premier streaming video and audio channels dedicated to serving the sports wagering audience. Found on major smart TV platforms and streaming on SportsGrid Radio and SiriusXM Channel 159. SportsGrid's real-time data, expert commentary, and entertaining analysis transform viewers into informed sports enthusiasts. Our weekday radio lineup begins with the early line at 8 a.m. Eastern with Ben Stevens and Donnie Rightside. Donnie joins Kevin Walsh on Moneyline at 11 a.m. Eastern, followed by Football Full Circle at noon Eastern. Kaplan and crew join the party at 1 p.m. Eastern. And Pharrell, Coast to Coast, keeps things rolling from 3 to 6 p.m. Eastern. Get in the mix with Kevin Walsh and Game Time Decisions at 6 p.m. Eastern. Evenings simmer with Carver and Lisi. Then boils over with Gabe Moritzi on Sports Rage Late Night at 10 p.m. Eastern. To find out where to find SportsGrid that's best for you, go to sportsgrid.com. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Imagine combining the exciting investment opportunity of cryptocurrencies with the power of artificial intelligence to maximize your IRA, 401k, or other investment funds. Listen, if you're looking for ways to accelerate your retirement growth, Block Trust IRA has market-leading strategies and solutions for all levels of investors, from $1,000 to millions. And they partner with Bitcoin Magazine's #1 crypto trading fund in the world to maximize your returns. Plus, their team of IRA specialists is here to help you roll over your IRA or qualified retirement account to the new world of cryptocurrency investments. So make this free call right now to set up your account and learn more.
800-434-5313. 800-434-5313. 800-434-5313. That's 800-434-5313.
It's stark but true.
You can either listen to SportsGrid for strategies, odds, and more, or you can pay your bills by digging in your couch cushions for change.
Just be sure to wear gloves.
Get the winning edge. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network. You're listening to Football Full Circle with Joe Lisi and Ben Stevens.
So ACC Media Days continues for a second day of 3 on this Wednesday in Charlotte. Same story for the Big Ten. day number 2 of 3 in Las Vegas. Yesterday, Joe, some of the headlines, of course, from Big Ten Media Days. Tony Petitti, conference commissioner, out there for the Big Ten, basically standing firm in the Big Ten's position. If we are expanding to 16 teams in the college football playoff, the Big Ten is only going to be in favor of the 4-4-2-2-1 model. 4 auto bids for the Big Ten and the SEC, 2 auto bids for the Big 12 and ACC, and 1 automatic bid for the highest ranking group of 5 champion, plus 3 remaining at-large spots. With the idea, as Petitti tried to sell it, we're going to have a conference championship weekend that serves as a play-in round. His coaches basically backed him up. Brett Bielema, Matt Rule, Coach Kurt Signetti, even the reigning national champion head-winning coach, that being Ryan Day.
Yeah, I get it. You know, we talked about this throughout the week, why the Big Ten is lobbying and pushing for the 4, legitimate slots for those schools. And again, it comes down to they want to make sure that they have brand recognition. They feel they play a tough, in-conference schedule, 9 games, and they want to be rewarded with 4 open slots at least, heading into the college football playoffs. So you could have that margin of error. And I keep going back to, I would like it, the 5 plus 11, if we're going to expand to 16, where you just take the 5 conference champs, and then the top 11 ranked teams accordingly. I want to see the best teams. I don't want to just give slots to a team in the Big Ten that might be potentially 9-3 just because they're affiliated with the Big Ten, and we have to now put a team in that type of situation or that type of position. It's just, what are we doing about the regular season then? So then what you're telling me is the regular season is important to a degree, but it's not ultimately important, and we're still going to reward teams because they're affiliated with the respective conference. That's ridiculous. It's football. And I keep going back to this. These coaches outside the big ones that have made, and won national championships, on the cusp teams, the Iowas and the PJ Flecks and all these guys getting $8 and $9 and $10 million, but just want to be guaranteed a legitimate spot for their, 9-3 or 8-4 record is ridiculous. Same thing with Lane Kiffin in the SEC. You had an opportunity. Yeah. Your team failed because of you. You didn't get them ready. Now you have to live with the repercussions. It's ridiculous to just reward these teams.
They're trying to highlight playing games. They're trying to highlight how it incentivizes teams being involved throughout the entirety of the regular season, which is something that we saw in the first year of 12 teams. But frankly, Joe, from a logistical standpoint, I'm not sure a lot of fans are going to buy into the idea of the 3 versus 6 game where the 6th team in the Big Ten has an 8-4 record and has 3 conference losses. Same story in the SEC. Is that team, although they could pull the upset in a play-in game, worthy of a college football playoff spot? Tony Petitti tried to share it. We've been so glued into the idea of 2 during the BCS era, or 4, that basically when it was 4 teams, if you weren't undefeated or you had at most 1 loss, you weren't getting in. Obviously, a larger field allows for a larger amount of resumes. The only thing I agree with when it comes to the Big Ten and that model is the idea that taking more influence away from the committee is what I agree with, because I thought Petitti said one thing that was sound. When you have a larger field, the committee now needs to decide between multiple 3-loss teams, and there's not that many separations of tiers as there once was in the 4-team era when it was pretty clear cut. That was the only area I agreed with Tony Petitti.
Right, yeah, but again, look at how his comment is. It takes the power out of the committee's team to look at multiple 3-team that have 3 losses, right? But we're only still looking at the power 4. We keep going back to expansion and what it represented. Yeah. Expansion was supposed to give equal opportunity to not just the Power 4 conferences. It was supposed to give equal opportunity to those schools that weren't in the national spotlight. And if we're only going to look at the Big Ten and the SEC, and we're not going to look at the group of 5 schools that really step up, that's not what it was made for, and that's the problem that I have with it.
Yeah, the idea of 5 plus 11, Joe, or 5 plus 7 now in the expanded 12-team model, does give the idea of equal opportunity. Earn it on the playing surface. We have seen that be tested, though, at times in past. He's Joe Lisi. I'm Ben Stevens. That does it for Football Full Circle. We'll talk to you tomorrow, noon Eastern time on SportsGrid Radio.
Now you've done it. You found the advantage for gaming, odds, and more. But we call it the winning edge.